Hey everybody, Dr. Spencer here with Jennifer and Dr.
David here.
We just wanted to give all of the DOFIs an update on some of the changes we're making. I know it's a ton at the same time, and it seems like they're compounding and getting out of control, but we just wanted to clarify A, why we're doing them, and B, kind of what the clinical flow should look like so that we don't have any confusion. I think the biggest thing I want to stress, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, is that all of the changes we're making are actually supposed to make the DOFI job easier.
Yes, so all of these changes were done with them in mind. And I love that you brought it up because that's why we decided to delve into the process, because we thought it was lengthy and difficult. So we tried to, with a lot of people involved and a lot of actual DOFIs coming to us with ideas, and this is what we came up with.
Yeah, and I think Dr. Tim said it best. The DOFI position is probably the hardest position.
It absolutely is.
You have to know so much stuff that other people don't know. You get thrown a bunch of other jobs on top of it. You're answering the phone on top of it. You have to be the front face and get yelled at. And that's why it's called DOFI, Director of First Impression. You're the first thing that they see on top of all the other stuff. So it got a little cumbersome, and we started looking at how can we streamline this process for the patient and the DOFI. One of the things I'm sure you guys noticed that we started doing is called the electronic check-in. Right now we're using Solve. It might switch to something that's even more user-friendly here in the near future, depending on what we can do. So the idea is with Solve, I can either text the patient or they can scan the QR code. They can sit down, fill out all the paperwork that they need without me having to scan anything. So the other cool part of that is if 6 people come in at the same time, instead of having a line in front of the DOFI, them having to check every person in one by one, scan all their stuff, all 6 people get a text message or scan the QR code, they can check in at the same time, and all the DOFI has to do is verify that their stuff is in correctly instead of having to go through all the process. Does that sound right, Jennifer?
That's right.
Okay.
Would you say it makes your life easier, Jennifer? Because I know you've been doing it,
Yeah.
so.
I would say one thing though, to get the patient to do the complete check-in, they need to take pictures of their ID, take pictures of their insurance card. That way you're not double working. You're not getting their paperwork and then having to scan in their ID, their insurance. It's just double work for you. So if they scan everything in, it'd be a lot easier.
Like they should. And on there's an option for them to scan. It actually says take photo, but they can upload it from their photos too. So even if they just have it in their camera roll already, they can do it. And so we've looked at several other urgent care chains that are doing this. We've looked at national statistics. So the people we talked to implemented this and implemented it well, and it takes a while to get it rolling. Decreased their wait times from 25 minutes to 8 minutes on average. And DOFI errors drop down because the DOFIs aren't having to put in as much information one by one. The other thing I'm sure you all have heard about that we're doing is also putting credit cards or debit cards on file. I think it seems intuitive why we're doing this. We need to have a card on file so that we can get in communication with them and have a way to charge them if there's something that didn't get collected at the checkout window. A big thing to remind patients is this is a system for us to talk to you, and we will never charge your card without asking you. You'll get a text message that says, hey, you owe $50 from your visit the other day. We're gonna charge it in 48 hours unless you say no. They have the opportunity to say no. There's not gonna be any surprise charges. A lot of our patients are happy to pay their bills if they know about it, but right now we're either having to use a third party or a billing office to call them and try and collect it, and it's an arduous process. And I think nobody knows better than the DOFIs that it's rough when a patient shows up, has a balance that they didn't know about, and now the DOFI's getting yelled at. So this allows us to communicate with them and collect money without you having to do it when the patient shows up. And I think we're just at an age where you can't go see the orthopedic surgeon, you can't go to specialty hospitals, you can't get a car, and you can't get a hotel room without having a credit card on file. It's just kind of the age we're in.
Yeah, unfortunately it is.
I know there's been some talk about, if someone brings a big wad of cash up front and says, here's $500, I'll pay for all my stuff up front. I don't have a credit card. If you have someone who, for whatever reason, doesn't have a credit card and is able to pay for everything that's going to be done cash before their visit, if we can use our autonomy and decide they probably don't need to put a card on file, I'm open to that conversation. But right now, even if you're cash pay, I think you need a card on file.
I agree, and I think that's the process that's in place, but we need to understand that you're all the DOFIs, you're all there. You have supervisors. If there's an exception to this and it seems strange or a weird one, everybody's more than happy for you to reach out and help them, whether it's myself or Pam Harris or Jennifer here, isn't that right? There's a lot of support behind them.
Oh yeah, and they've got all the extensions at their desk.
Yeah. So if there is something weird, just reach out to us. We know that this is an evolving process and there's going to be exceptions.
And I think, like Dad always says, with the electronic check-in, credit card on file. The reason exceptional service is called exceptional service is because it has exceptions. I know if someone's 95 and they come in and it's easier for me to help them with their paperwork, that's probably the right thing to do for that patient. That doesn't mean that 98% of the time I'm not doing it the other way. It means that occasionally I'll have an exception. The other change that y'all have coming your way is the new checkout process. I think, again, this just makes life easier for you. You have less people calling you. You have less supervisors asking you why you didn't collect stuff. So the idea is our providers or our nursing staff are going to give them a piece of paper that explains what they're doing. And from the provider standpoint, we already do this. I go in the room, I say, hey, Jennifer, so you had a stuffy nose. We ran a COVID test, a flu test, and an RSV test. They were all negative. I called in a prescription into the Walmart like you asked me to, and then you can check out up front. And then they walk up to the front. The only difference is I'm going to say the exact same thing, but I'm going to circle on the paper what we did while we're talking. I'm going to hand it to her, and she's going to bring it to the DOFI so you know exactly what to collect for deductibles. And I can tell you, if you look at the numbers of the money that walks out of the clinic every day without being collected, it's impressive.
It is.
And you know, it's hard for us to go collect that money afterwards. And since you have less arduous task on the front end with electronic check-in, it gives you a little more time for that checkout. Because I know when I bring people up to the DOFI and I say, hey, she's gonna help you check out, and then I walk away and she's scanning 6 people in, and now she has to check them out. She's like, bye. And you know, what else can you do? So hopefully this will also help with that process.
I was gonna jump back to Collectly real quick.
Sure.
There was an email that went out, and I think a lot of people misunderstood about a patient coming in with insurance, and if they, they wanted to pay cash pay or something, they couldn't take their insurance or something?
Yeah, so there was some confusion that if a patient didn't want to put a credit card on file, they couldn't use their insurance.
Yeah, that.
Which is not the case. It's that everyone needs a credit card on file, with the rare exception of someone who's here from another country, has no credit card, has cash, wants to pay for everything up front. We can maybe make an exception in that case. Otherwise, even our cash pay patients need to have a card on file.
Yeah.
I think, like anything that has change, we're going to have some bumps in the beginning.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a little rocky. We're all on the same team. We're in this with y'all. We're not sitting here as dictators saying, you know, this has to be done a specific way, and even if it doesn't make sense, we're going to keep doing it. If we find some flaws in the system, or you guys have an idea of how to change it and streamline it and make it even smoother, we're super open to those ideas. And while we're figuring it out and getting it smoothed out, just expect there's going to be some bumps in the road, and that's okay. Anything y'all want to add?
I'm good.
I just wanted to say, just like you said, put the power back in y'all's hands. Y'all are the ones on the ground. We're here trying to make your lives easier. Help us to help you do that.
Yeah, and I do want to add, volumes are picking back up.
They are.
Our ratios, our staffing ratios are supposed to be at 1. They were at 1.7. If we had too many people, we'd send someone home to try and get it down to 1. We're on the other side of the spectrum now. If our staffing ratios are 0.5 and we're understaffed, we can call in some backup for you. So we definitely don't want you guys drowning in clinic when we have enough patient volume to bring more people in. So as always, if you guys need anything, you have our emails, you know where to get a hold of us. Jennifer's here all the time to help you. I think she said she prefers FaceTimes at 2 a.m. Is that right?
Sure. I'll answer.
But if you guys need anything, just let us know. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.